Hey everyone, and welcome to the first ever episode of At the Heart of Hope. My name is Hope Poole, and today my first guest on the show is my good friend Anna Martin. I felt it only right that Anna be the first guest on the very first episode because she really inspired me to create this. Anna was sharing her story the other day during a women's devotional, and I just thought to myself, wow, what a powerful story, what a powerful testimony. And it made me just think about it for the next few days. I started thinking about other women that I knew that had overcome struggles, cancer, infertility, loss of loved ones. And I just think that they have such a powerful story to tell. A lot of times we will hear snippets of a story in passing or from a friend of a friend. We may see a good Facebook post that we look and think, oh, that's great, and scroll on through. But I just really wanted to create a space where we could give God the glory for what He's done in our lives, and I could give women a chance to share their stories with everyone and hopefully bring encouragement and hope for anyone who's struggling through hard times. So, Anna, diving right into your story. Anna's story has to do with her fertility journey, one of her many stories, but that's the one we're going to cover today. So tell me a little bit about how we know each other and how you met your husband.
Okay. Hope's husband Tyler is always a good friend of mine, lifelong friend. We attended church together as babies and grew up together. My husband is good friends with Tyler. I met my husband through Tyler and other mutual friends. So my path crossed with Hope when she started dating Tyler, and then we became good friends. So that's where we got to know each other. And then my husband and I married 2009. We decided to start trying for a baby in 2010, about a year later, um, and it just never happened. Month after month, we got disappointed, and I finally sought the help of my gynecologist probably about a year into trying, and we started with tests. Um, Test results came back pretty grim. Um, I have decreased ovarian reserve. So my egg supply is low, and the eggs that I have aren't viable enough to withstand a pregnancy. So IVF was really our only hope, other than God's help, which I know He gave us eventually.
Yeah, I know that that's really hard times for you. I didn't know Anna very well when she was trying to get pregnant. I didn't know much about your fertility journey. I know that I saw you every church, at church every
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, worshiping, praising the Lord, full of joy. And I know that, your faith helped you through during that time.
Yes.
I can't imagine how tough that was. Tell me a little bit about your relationship with God as you began to struggle. As you realized, okay, this isn't happening exactly how I've always dreamed it. This
Right.
isn't happening according to my plan. Was that something that grew your faith in the Lord, where you really drew near to Him? Was it something that distanced you, or how did your relationship change?
I think we all have a plan in our mind of how we think things should go and how our life is going to go. And then when that doesn't happen the way that we imagine, then that leaves us with doubts and fears. And I think I was experiencing those emotions for sure. But my faith in the Lord helped me through. Um, it helped me to realize that it's not my timing, it's His. And I could look back now and see Him through every obstacle we faced. He was with us always, and I think my faith grew as a result of those valley moments and years. But in those moments, I had doubts, I had struggles. I questioned God. Why? I was a teacher. I was a teacher for 15 years, and so I remember thinking, God, you called me to teach. I know you put this calling on my life, and why would you ask me to love other people's children when I couldn't have one of my own? So that was a big struggle, and we've discussed how everyone around us, it seems, we're getting pregnant and having a family, and um, attending baby showers, wondering if it would ever be my turn. It was difficult, but of course I was happy for my friends and happy for my colleagues that would be having these showers and all. But it was very trying, a very big test of my faith.
I think, yeah, we've talked about it before. That's such a hard thing to realize that you can feel joy for others and feel sorrow for yourself. I think that one common misconception as a woman of faith is that you know, you're just supposed to trust and you're supposed to obey and you're supposed to just carry on. I'm going to keep a smile on my face, whether it's going my way or not, because God has a plan for me. And if I'm sad or if I'm doubtful, then, I'm sinning or I'm a bad person.
Right.
And I think that, I've had those same thoughts too. And I think that in hindsight, and something that I wish I would have discovered a lot earlier, is what a kind God that our God is, and how he understands that we have these human emotions and he understands that we have these human doubts, and he's really there for us. He's not asking us to carry it all on our own. He's not asking us to be happy no matter what. We are to be thankful to the Lord, certainly, but he does understand our sorrow and he's there with us in our sorrow. And, he wants us to lean on him. But I think that was something hard. You feel like you have to put on this brave face, and
Yeah.
God knows your heart no matter what. But,
Right.
I wish I would have realized back in the day what a kind God he was.
Yeah.
Where do you think you really reached your lowest point? What was your lowest point, and then what was your turning point?
Yeah. My lowest point was probably after several tests had been run over a series of events and testing for this and that. My husband tested for different things. My gynecologist called me one afternoon and said that she got the results and realized I had decreased ovarian reserve, and um, realized what a grim chance we would have of ever having a baby on our own. I remember her giving me like a less than 5% chance. And, she even said IVF may not even work because of my eggs being, so atrophied, or my ovaries so atrophied and my eggs so, um, not viable. But that was probably the lowest point, knowing that medically and even with interventions, it may not ever happen. My turning point was after one of those afternoon baby showers at my school, for a colleague of mine. I was headed home that afternoon, um, had held it together, like you were saying, smiling and happy for my friend. But I remember getting into my car that afternoon and crying on the way home, just so frustrated and so defeated. And I just cried out to God, just, if you're never going to give me a baby, take this away. Take the desire away. I felt like it was cruel to 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 have that feeling of wanting something so bad. And I knew that the Bible said, God gives us the desires of our heart. And, I knew that he promised to always be with me, and I trusted those things, but I just didn't understand why, with the condition that I have, and knowing, the medical prospects didn't look very promising, why would I keep this desire in my heart if that was not his will for me? And so I just pulled my car over beside the road, and I, just yelled, yelled out to God, just take it away. Um, and, like, why am I going through this? And in that moment of just releasing it all, I think, at his feet, I heard him speak to me, not audibly, but in my soul, I heard him speak, and it was, I am enough. And I just remember getting such a peace from hearing from him. And I went home thinking, okay, he is enough. There's my answer. If I never have a baby, he is enough. He is where my joy comes from, and I'll be fine. But he meant that, but he didn't mean it in the way that I interpreted in that moment. He meant, I am enough to walk you through this. I am enough to give you an answer. I am enough to figure out this situation more than you. And I really understood what it meant to lean not on my understanding, but on him. He meant, I am enough to work this out. And so about a month later, I heard about this other infertility doctor. We had seen 2 or 3 at this point and been through 4 failed IVF cycles. And so I heard about this doctor, and some things that he was doing that were a little different than what we had tried in the past. And so I called him, and on our first visit, he was so compassionate and so kind. And he came around from his desk and held my hand as I was crying and said, I will do what I can. And he, told us that he was a Christian and that he would be praying for us. And we just left there with such a peace of, we've got a good Christian doctor that's on our side that's going to help. And so we started our last IVF cycle, and I told Josh, I said, if this doesn't work, maybe that's our answer. We can, stop trying, because it had been 4 years of infertility shots every night, 4 years of doctor visits, 4 years of just disappointment. And we tried one more time, and that's when we became pregnant with my daughter. And I just am so thankful every day. She'll be 11 in about a week, and she is my living, breathing reminder every day of God's faithfulness, and my reminder that He is enough.
I love that part of your story. It gets me every single time. When you're sitting there talking about it, and I felt this about my own personal experiences too before, like the song More Than Able. And it just resonates with me so much, when you're getting bad news, like no matter what the health thing, when you are leaning on your own understanding, when you're like, okay, my chances are so slim, like this isn't going to happen for me medically, this isn't, whatever. And being in the medical field, that's hard for me too, because I'll be like, oh, okay, well, the statistics say this, or the medications say this, or I can do this. And truly, nothing ever happens without God's impact on it. But the thing is like there's all these miracles that happen every day, and we as humans are so quick to make an explanation for a miracle. There's miracles all around us if we open our eyes and we recognize them. And so your story, I love how you say like, yeah, we went to this new infertility doctor and we did this, but like to God be the glory. Like
Absolutely.
it wouldn't have happened without Him.
Mm-mm.
And God is more than able to change anything in your life.
Yeah.
It's easy for Him, like the song says it is.
Yeah.
And so I think, trying to become pregnant and trying to grow your family, especially when you're met with obstacles, when you're met with delays, with discouragement, it's so easy to really try to lean into your own understanding. And it's just hard to accept God's timing and His plan. And I think your story is beautiful that when you reached that point of surrender and said, like, okay, I'm trying, but it's in God's hands. It's just such a beautiful story of how He worked in your life and worked through you and led you to the right doctor and led you to the right timing and the right place. Yeah. And Jocelyn is such a blessing. How do you think your struggles with fertility and becoming pregnant, how do you think they've affected you as a parent?
As I was going through probably some of the lower times, the valleys, what I call them, I remember thinking and praying, God, don't let my pain be in vain. Use it for your glory. And so at that time, I don't post as much anymore, but I would post about our struggles and our journey, and it was kind of very vulnerable and transparent about what we were going through, because I wanted people to see that even though you are walking through a difficult time, your faith can stand strong. And I wanted people to see me leaning on the Lord, and I think He used that, because through that platform, so many people reached out to me, so many people were praying for us, and I think I was able to help others who were struggling as well. So that was a big part of the process, is using my pain for His glory and allowing Him to work through that. And then as a parent, we are just so thankful for our child, and so thankful for the blessing that she is. And I think that has caused Josh and I to pause and be more present in every moment and soak in every milestone, because she is our one and only, and we're fine with that. And so we have really tried to just savor every step with her, knowing that she is our answer to so many prayers.
Sure. I oftentimes think like, okay, if I wouldn't have struggled with this, would I ever have realized like what a blessing it is to be able to have children? Would
Right.
I have appreciated it? Would I have been as thankful? And also just really realizing that like it's such a miracle. Like
Yeah.
conception and safe pregnancies and safe deliveries, like it's just such a miracle.
It
There's
is.
no other way to explain it, and it's such a gift from God.
Mhm.
And I know it can be such a hard time for us as moms, but I do think that there's so many blessings that come from the hardships, like you said. I love that. Don't let my pain be in vain. I've never heard that before. That's good.
Yeah.
Um, was there a special Bible verse, a special song, a special word spoken over you by anyone that really helped you through the hard times?
Um, like I said, so many people were praying for us, and I felt, God's presence through it all. I knew that He was with us, and I knew that, He would work everything out, even though I would have those moments of doubt. Um, I just, I felt so close to Him, and I'm so thankful. Looking back, I'm so thankful for that time, um, through those valley years, because when my mountaintop came, I knew from where that blessing came from, and I was so thankful for His presence walking us through that, and I feel like my faith grew, and I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for those years of struggles and trying, because it did draw me closer to Him. But a verse that sticks out to me is Proverbs 3:5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will make your path straight. And that kind of became my theme. My mantra is, I don't understand this. I don't know that I ever will. 11 years later, with my child here, there's still times where I'm like, why did I have to go through that? But His ways are greater than mine, and He is kind and good, like Hope said. And I know that there's a purpose, and He was able to use our situation to draw others closer to Him. And if our situation drew someone to the Lord, to a place of their salvation, then my pain, every bit of it, was worth it. So I'm thankful. I'm really thankful for those years.
Yeah. I love your story. I think one thing talking about, not understanding everything, I heard a guest speaker at our church one time. He said that he prayed out like, Lord, I believe, but help me in my unbelief. And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wow, that is so good, because there's so many ways that, times that you just really don't understand, will probably never fully understand. And just believing that God is good, and like you said, God is kind, and God has our best interest at heart, and that, there's a purpose for our life, and the things that we have to endure is, just trying to rest in that and really hold true to it. And when we don't understand, like still saying, I believe, I don't understand completely, but I believe that your plan for me is good. And God has worked it out so good in your life.
Yeah.
And Jocelyn is such a blessing to everyone she encounters.
Thank you.
She's such a sweet girl
Yeah.
growing up on us.
Yes.
But I really appreciate you coming on coming on the show and sharing your story. I hope that it's been encouraging for someone out there. I know that your faith and your story has been encouraging to me over the years, and it's been a blessing to me and my family. So thank you all for tuning in, and I hope